for the data center industry, it is very, very important for them to understand what are the different various functions of a data center, right? Before they even can choose their career path. Like the functions like data center operations, cybersecurity is obviously there, the network engineering, data center design and architecture, cloud virtualizations, data center management, operations, sales and business development for the data centers. Hi, I'm Priyanka Ray. I'm from IBM, and you are watching Data Center Go to Market podcast.
Welcome, data center friends all around the globe. I am Joshua Feinberg from the Data Center Go to Market podcast, and I'm thrilled to have a very special guest joining me today. I'm welcoming Dr. Priyanka Ray, who is a global GTM cloud migration and modernization lead with IBM in Singapore. Welcome to the podcast, Priyanka. I'm thrilled to have you joining me today.
Thank you, Joshua, and I am also thrilled to be part of your podcast.
Well, that's terrific. I think what would be a great place to start is, can you give me a little bit of context of how you ended up in your current role leading a GTM cloud migration and modernization team at IBM? Was IT infrastructure, was cloud, were these things you were thinking about early on in your career, or were there circumstances that happened with previous milestones, with previous journeys that led you to this place?
Well, Joshua, when I started my career, there was no cloud. There was infrastructure, of course, but there was no cloud. So I started my career as a software engineer, working with languages like COBOL, C, C++. And then slowly, as I moved into my career, I saw that, slowly I saw cloud coming in, I saw virtualization coming in, and I shifted my interest to virtualization. And then when we were doing virtualization, that is where, the infrastructure part started, moving into my career. Saying that, if I do if I do software coding, and how it is impacting my consumption of the infrastructure, and that is how the infrastructure part of it started coming in. Then from 2010 onwards, cloud was became prominent, and I moved to the SaaS model of the cloud, and that is what it was during that time, which was very interesting. So we were moving in, and that was a time when we had salesforce.com, and I was working on salesforce.com, on the PaaS environment, on the SaaS environment. And then slowly I moved into my cloud, background and cloud experiences, gaining cloud experiences, and then AWS, and then Azure, and then Google, and everybody started coming in. And I slowly moved from the traditional software development to a cloud software development, and then to a consultant, to become a go-to-market and consultant for IBM Cloud. So I moved from a traditional to a cloud virtualization environment in my 20 years of career, Joshua.
Yeah, it's easy to forget because it seems like so long ago now, but there was a time I remember in the early to mid 2000s, maybe right before about 2010, where IT directors and mainstream IT trade publications had a fearful narrative about security and stability around cloud. And just like all things with IT, they eventually overcame a lot of those barriers. And I don't think that's really a major concern anymore, or at least that's probably a big part of the reason why companies maintain expert teams like yours to make sure that it's not a big part, that fear is not a big part. But yeah, we've come a long way with cloud.
Yeah, yeah, and Joshua, it's still a big part, and the security concerns are increasing as we are innovating. Now, the security is also part of AI, so we are the security or the threat vulnerability has in fact. Massively increased because of the AI, because of the way we are creating models on the data that is there on the internet. So I won't say that it is gone. It is there, and it is very much there, and will be there in the future. But we are equipped, and we are constantly coming up with new innovation to handle that.
Which brings me to my next question. With people that are early on in their career, they come to you for advice, maybe as a formal or informal mentorship. Maybe it's a teenage son or daughter of a coworker or neighbor or a relative, and they know you've had this super successful career in IT, and they're really curious about what advice you to offer to someone that's in high school or about to enter university, and they're kind of thinking about career options. They're not really interested in a very technical career. They don't see themselves going into software development or engineering. They're more interested in client facing roles like project management, program management, sales, marketing, products, uh, customer success. What advice would you offer to someone that's that early on? It seems there's an obvious huge ongoing need for cybersecurity, but beyond that, what would be your general conversation you'd have over coffee with someone asking for that kind of advice?
So, people who are starting their career, I would say that, whatever they have learned in their colleges, in their university, there is still they need to embrace a continuous learning and adaptability path, because the landscape in cloud and in data center is evolving rapidly. So, staying curious and proactive about learning new tools, framework, best practices is very, very essential. It is very important for them to understand the fundamental of the cloud architecture, whether they are doing project management or they do want to do technical or non-technical. The important thing is for them to understand the fundamentals of cloud architecture, keeping up with the innovations like AI, edge computing, gaining certification with major providers like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, so that it will help them stay ahead in the industry. Okay. Now, for the data center industry, it is very, very important for them to understand what are the different various functions of a data center, right? Before they even can choose their career path, like the functions like data center operations, cybersecurity is obviously there, the network engineering, data center design and architecture, cloud virtualizations, data center management, operations, sales and business development for the data center. So these are basic data center function they need to understand before they take a decision where they want to move into when they start their career. And they need to also understand create a strong foundation for their the basic of the data center, like the networking, the servers, the storage, the virtualization, which is the backbone of a data center. So now the next part of the next part is basically the automation and the emerging technologies that are we see now, which is AI, edge computing, which are reshaping the data center or the industry. And obviously the sustainability is there. So these are some of the basic thing that the new joinees need to understand, and then create their base, and then understand where they want to take their career ahead. Joshua.
And the challenge with all of this really is formal education. Is high school and university really helping these students to get this foundation, or do they need to take a proactive role in seeking out online training courses and proactively going after internships to work on during summer break and during some of their downtime? Uh, you really, there's never probably been a more important time to take a proactive role and figuring all of this stuff out, because the shelf life on these technologies many times is so rapidly that the higher education, secondary education, seems to have a hard time keeping up.
Absolutely. See, the universities and colleges, they do a more theoretical. They may give you an idea of compute storage network, but how it is applicable in the real world, how it is impacting the industry today, what exactly they need to learn to be part of this industry and to be a differentiator in that industry, is where there is a big gap. And us, like IBM, companies like IBM and big companies, they are trying to bridge this industry, the industry and the university gap. We are doing a lot of programs where, we are trying to educate these students, educate the pass outs, how, what they would need to know to move into into their career. So you're right. They need to be more proactive, they need to understand, they need to talk, they need to have a mentor, and then do some research, go into different, do some certification programs, if they are interested, say data center, or if they're interested in cloud, or if they're interested in AI. So they need to understand what all, as I said, what are the basic functions of that, and then go for external certifications, and some post certification after their college, post university certification, to get into this industry. Or the second is go into an join an organization, and then understand, get a mentor, and then do the certifications.
Yeah, it sounds like great advice. Probably the biggest message it sounds across the board is just it's not a one and done. You're not going to get your training and be able to coast on that throughout the course of your career. Maybe not even for several years.
Yeah.
It's the training's perishable.
Yes, absolutely. Today, we, with so many years in the industry, Joshua, we are still learning. Every day we come to the office, and it's a new day for us, and we are learning new things again every day.
So, what about someone that's more mid-career? Perhaps it's a former coworker that you worked on a team with 10 years ago, earlier on in your career, and you bump into someone like that at a conference, and they ask how are things been going, Priyanka, and you tell them about your what you're currently doing. They talk about what they're currently doing, and then over the course of coffee or lunch, it comes out that they're kind of burned out, they're really stressed out, and they're trying to figure out what the next chapter of their career would be. They know they want to stay in something related to infrastructure or data center or cloud, but they really don't know what direction to go in. What kind of advice would you offer to a former coworker that used to be pretty good friends with when you worked together years ago?
So, Joshua, I would say that, they need to leverage their deep understanding. So, while embracing the new high growth areas like AI, edge computing, and sustainability, so their experience is invaluable, I would say, because with the change, like the way the industries are shifting rapidly, staying relevant becomes very, very important. But continuously in evolving their skill set is very important. But their experience is, and their in-depth understanding of the industry foundational system is very, very important. Now, if because they have, I would say, I would, if I get, when I advise my colleagues or people in the industry, I would say that your experience is important, but what you can do now is how you can marry your experience with the new technology together to take it to the new level. And that is what is missing, that is what we need in this industry. So what is happening is we are forgetting what is there, and then we are trying to adapt to the new thing. But no, we need to marry both the thing, because that foundation is very important. So their expertise in legacy system, networking, data center architecture is the bridge that can help them, understand and adapt emerging technologies like, hybrid cloud environment, serverless computing, edge computing, etc. So that is what is, I usually advise. Second is that, never stop learning. So every, like I said, giving my example, every day is a learning day for me. So y- you may have decades of experience, but staying relevant is, and moving with the trend is very, very important. So consider certification of high growth areas like multi-cloud architecture, cybersecurity for the cloud environment, AI-driven data center management, cloud native application development. So get certification from various industries, various partners, and keep yourself relevant for the future. um, they can also with the level of experience that they have, they can also pivot into their strategic leadership roles, which is very important now, because the industry, the companies are not only looking for people who can operationally help them, who can do the transformation, but is looking for individuals who can not only manage the day-to-day operation, but align cloud and data center strategies with their business objective. So which is very important. And I see, when I am talking to my clients, I see that um, they are looking for experts who can help them, they understand their business objective, and tell them that this is being your objective, this is what you should do with your data center, this is what you need to, this cloud is what you need to go there, this is how you need to move to the cloud, this is when you should move to the cloud. That kind of strategic leadership is what they're looking for. And people with experience, sh- who are able to understand both the world, the traditional and the new world, are the right people to give that strategic leadership, if you are able to upgrade yourself into that level. So I have seen in the organizations, enterprises are looking for chief cloud officers. These are the new roles that are opening up. Then cloud strategy director, digital transformation lead. So these are all the opportunities that are there with the organization and the people who wants to change their role. um, Another thing I can say is emerging trends like AI driven automation, edge computing, sustainability initiatives are transforming the way we think about cloud infrastructure and data center management. So for instance, AI driven data centers are making significant waves. So embracing the AI, professionals, a senior professional can focus on optimizing everything from energy consumption to predictive maintenance that we need to do in the data center. Similarly, edge computing is gaining ground as businesses seek to process data closer to its source. So, upcoming avenues of data center architecture. So, people who are in data center architecture, they can look into edge computing, gain experience in edge computing, gain certification in edge computing, and take their career to that level. Then we have sustainability, which is a huge ask in the in the market today. So there's a huge pressure also in to the with the enterprises to reduce their carbon footprint. So becoming an advocate for sustainability practices within a data center, um, they can align their career with a future facing priority that resonates with both business and society. And definitely the consultancy and advisory role is always there, with all the knowledge that you have of the tradition and the new knowledge that you gain, you can definitely become a consultant or and do advisory work, Joshua.
So when it comes to these courses and when it comes to these training, it seems like this is a big part of making the right bets on your career. Do you have any advice on how to pick the right courses and training? Like, for example, I have the LinkedIn Learning app on my phone, and sometimes when I'm doing my workout in the morning and I'm curious to learn something about a particular topic, I'll do a search and I'll listen to a course and take the quiz, and there's a little certification. And I know a lot of the hyperscale vendors each have official certifications, but do you have any favorite resources, any evaluation criteria that you use to decide which courses, which certifications make the most sense for someone's career?
This is very subjective, Joshua, because depends on where you are today and what you want to do in the future. So I can take an example of a person who has a career, who has a career like mine. who were in software development and then moved into enterprise architecting, and then moved to consulting. So people who are in this career path from software development technology to a consulting path, so they can take certifications of, say I moved from software development in the cloud and moved into a consulting. So I did certification on cloud architecture, I did certification on cloud sales, I did certification on various AI tools which are relevant for, say, data center automation, data center performance, utilization, and then migrating to a data center, what all tools would be needed, how I can automate my migration tools. So I did certification in that area. People who are in security and want to move into a cyber security, they have different path. They can do all the security, AWS security. Then you have the ICPA, ICA, so all that's global security standards that are there. Then people who are into compliance can do HIPAA compliance certification. So it all depends where you are today and what you want to do. But definitely the basic certification on cloud, like AWS certification, developer certification, administration certification, architect certification on AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, are the basic things that you can go ahead and do.
Do you find on your own team and on people that you work with most immediately closely with, do you all have most of the same or similar certifications? Like, are you using that as a common language, kind of like an alignment tool? Or is there something to be said for having a lot of diverse perspectives with having lots of different certifications among different team members?
So, yes. So, these are, as I said, the basic certifications. If you're working on a cloud or a data center, the basic certification, like the developer, depending on if you're a developer or you're an architect, the developer certification, the architect certification, the DevOps certification, and some of the tool certification are the basic certification. So, entire team of mine, we say that these are the basic certifications and trainings that you need to do and you need to have before you can work in the team.
Cool. That makes total sense. So, Priyanka, when you look at what's going on with the kinds of companies that you typically do consulting for in Singapore and throughout the region, and when you hear about other similar companies throughout Asia, Pacific, throughout the whole globe, like, and you think about cloud and you think about infrastructure and migrations and modernizations, what are the biggest struggles? What are the biggest challenges that you see some companies going through?
Good question, Joshua. So, based on my experience and the um, um, uh, engagement that I have with my clients, um, migrating from their legacy environment to a cloud environment, and these are all huge transformation projects, and these transformation projects are comes with a lot of challenges. So I'll state some of the challenges that I have seen with our clients. um, Many assume that the migration to the cloud is very straightforward, and they underestimate the complexity involved, particularly in large scale environment which with legacy system. So this is because they poorly plan the migration. There is unexpected cost, there is operational disruption is there, and all this creates a issue in the timeline, issue in the cost, issue in security, issue in the business as usual. So the underestimating the complexity of the migration is one of the biggest challenge I have seen without a very experienced partner, if you do it without an experienced partner. um, the other area I have seen is the not the alignment. There is no alignment between the IT strategy and their business goals. So the focus is very narrow on the technical aspect, and it's very narrow, and it is only on the technical aspects, neglecting to align these efforts with broader business objective. So this misalignment results in IT projects that do not deliver tangible business value, leading to wasted resources and missed opportunity for innovation, growth, and the objective with which they were doing the transformation. One other important aspect is the change management system. So, inadequately managing the human aspects of digital transformation is the biggest mistake I have seen that the industry does. So, that leads to employees not adapting to the new changes, which delays any projects. Um, Another area is the security and compliance consideration are sometimes treated as afterthought, which increases the risk of data breaches, regulatory penalties, and reputational, damages. Um, One another important area is the single vendor or single technology lock-in. So if you see the example of Broadcom, once when Broadcom bought over VMware, there was a huge impact on the market. So people wanted to move out of VMware and move into new technology, but their entire IT landscape was on one technology, which was VMware. Now, moving out of VMware and moving to a new technology is actually impacting their business, impacting the cost, and the migration is becoming very, very complex. So sticking to one technology or a single vendor is no, when you are, either moving from old legacy to the new, or staying in the new. You need to see that your environment is multi vendor and multi technology. um, Skill development is another area, because the pace of technology changes requires continue, as I have been saying constantly, it is a continuous learning process, but organizations fail to invest adequately in skills development for their team. So there's a big skill gap that we see in the industry. And last but not the least is the engaging the key stakeholders in when we are doing the transformation projects. So poor communication and engagement with key stakeholders leads to the lack of buy-in and misaligned expectation, that creates a lot of delays, lot of overheads in any transformation project, Joshua. So these are some of the you know a few of the key areas I have seen that the challenges that the industry or the enterprises face when they go through the transformation.
So what's fascinating about all that is it seems that a lot more of the challenges are business related rather than just technical related. It actually seems like some of the technical concerns are not quite as overwhelming as dealing with the people, the personnel, the change issues, the vendor lock-in issues, budgeting timelines, change management.
True.
Really, really
That
interesting.
is actually true.
Just to give us a rough idea of a typical project without getting into anything especially proprietary, like on these kinds of migrations, like how many people might be involved on a full-time basis, for how many weeks, for how many months, like what are the range that these projects typically cost, or is it really just all over the place, or do you see a common band for like a mid-market or enterprise cloud migration engagement?
So in a cloud migration engagement, if we go with a mid size, which I would say around, we define these t-shirts based on number of applications and number of data centers, number of VMs that needs to be migrated into the new environment. So if we go roughly by around 1,000 VMs that needs to be migrated, which is in a smaller side, not even a mid size, between small and mid size. So if we go with that kind of size of the migration, we see that it is almost 4 to 5 months of projects that needs to be done, depending again on the complexity of the environment. So there's no straight answer, Joshua, to this. But if the complexities again is low complex um, uh, um, IT environment with one data center, then it is between 4 to 5 months of migration projects that needs to be done because IBM is fully automated organization. So we can do this with a with 7 to 8 resources doing the migration for the organization. Most of it is automated for us, and manual processes is very, very limited that we have managed to do it. And the cost is, again, I will not be able to give you a cost estimation, but it all depends on the environment, the volume, the complexity, the technology. So it's between 4 to 5 months with 8 to 10 resources and tools.
Very, very interesting. And that's considered small to mid-size, like the lower end of like the lower end entry point of like mid-market with
Yes.
with 1,000 virtual machines.
Yes,
Super.
absolutely. And also I would also want to add here that it all depends on the client timeline as well. So if the client has if the client has a timeline, say within 6 months they have to exit the data center and move to the cloud, whether it is 1000 VMs or 2000 VMs, but the timeline is the constraint, then we have more people to help them do that. But if the timeline is, say, 2 years, the client has to exit the data center within 2 years, then we distribute the migration in 2 years, even though the volume is less. So it depends again on the client's requirement and their timeline constraint.
The Data Center Go to Market podcast is sponsored by DCSMI, elevating the role of sales, marketing, and go to market GTM professionals in the growth of the data center industry. To stay informed about upcoming episodes, make sure that you subscribe to the Data Center Sales and Marketing newsletter on the DCSMI website that can be found at www.dcsmi.com. Again, that URL is www.dcsmi.com.
Heard about 6 months ago one of the analyst firms talking about that some of these hyperscale projects have gotten so large that the CTO is now not the main decision maker. It's moved to the CEO and the board. Of course, the CTO sitting at the table. Do you see projects that are that massive that they're going all the way to the CEO and board level, and the CTO is the secondary stakeholder?
Yes, this kind of situation has been there in number of enterprises, because as I said, as you can understand, technology is not the challenge is the all other thing, how you manage a transformation project. So if the management of that transformation project is not well managed, then this blows. And once it blows, because every organization is working on a transformation project with certain budget, and if that budget exceeds, then it moves to the next level, or the transformation project is halted. And people, CTO, CEOs, and others then think of how they can do the transformation without even without incurring that kind of budget. So we try to then help these customers with cost optimization in their existing infrastructure, getting the money out of there to help them do the transformation. So that means, for example, if you are running your legacy infrastructure on a legacy environment on a data center, we help them optimize that data center, reduce the cost of that data center, and then use that delta amount to help them do the transformation. Because the budget may not be there, or they have exceeded the budget. So that is another challenge, Joshua, that we see in the industry today, in the market today.
is having to have the two environments side by side during the migration, paying for both essentially for a short period of time.
Yes, absolutely.
Which likely increases the pressure on your team to go faster, but there's only so fast that you can go with the complexities of the migration.
And then there are ways of doing that. So the companies like IBM and others, the service providers, we are coming up with various options of helping our clients do this. I mean, this is called a double bubble cost, where you have the existing data center and then you're moving to the new data center or onto the cloud. And at a certain point, you have to maintain both of this, and it actually takes your operational cost to a huge level. So we also try to help the client of how to mitigate this, how to not have this double bubble cost.
Very interesting. When you think about where we are and where we're headed next, and you look out into your crystal ball with like a 2, 3, 4 years ahead into the future, how do you see your daily routines changing for someone that's a GTM lead working on cloud migration and modernization projects? What do you see the daily, weekly, monthly routine looking like?
um, so in the future of data center, is going to focus on hybrid and multi-cloud solutions. So enterprises will continuously diverse their cloud strategies, and they will move from from their legacy to an hybrid environment to a multi-cloud environment. And so as a GTM leader, we need to emphasize interoperability, security management tools that support these hybrid and multi-cloud environment, which is important. So that is where our focus will be going forward. Then we have the proliferation of IoT devices. So this, because enterprises will need low latency processing, edge computing. So computing will become very important going forward. So as GTM, leaders and as GTM strategies will then focus on edge computing. So edge computing capability, edge computing offering solutions, and where for the different industry, and again, different industries will have different requirements. So we need to focus on what the edge computing needed for different industry, and then focus our GTM strategy towards that. And I have also said that sustainability is one of the key selling areas. So sustainability selling points, sustainability strategies on green certification, renewable energy use, innovation in cooling and power management. That is another area that I think we, as a GTM strategist, we should be focusing on that. Um, Important One other important thing, AI and machine learning, which will play a growing role in automation, or automating data center operations. So we will need to focus increasingly on AI enhanced offerings, positioning data center as intelligent autonomous environment that can self optimize performance and efficiency. So we are focusing very highly on the AI. How do we automate a data center? How do we make the data center more efficient? How we can have a data center which is able to, a powerful data center or AI data center, which will help run AI models, which is again a huge market that is coming up now. The other area is sovereignty cloud, where government worldwide are enacting, different laws and, for sovereignty. So that is another area I think we need to focus on. And then, of course, there is cyber security is there, which is again, as I said, will play a huge role. Basically, we are moving from a traditional data center to a service oriented data center, which will focus on data center as a service, data center as a service model, provide flexibility on the consumption based pricing. So that is where, I think the focus will be in the next 2 years.
So it seems like from what you're saying, over time, the real estate portion of it that typically has controlled so much of the assets will become less in the driver's seat and the technology will more take center stage?
Yes, because you know that all the hyperscalers are coming up with a colo option, with a uh, providing the data center option, not only the cloud but also the bare metal option. Then there are companies coming up with colo options. So the focus is like enterprises and organization moving out of their data center, reducing their capex, capital expenditure, and moving to an opex model is what is the trend moving towards. But it all again depends on industry. Industries like banking and telecom, they are still staying in their existing data center and will continue doing that for another few years.
And I imagine those regulatory requirements force a certain kind of specialization with team members having certain skills to be able to navigate those kinds of environments as well.
Yes. Yes.
More certifications, more training courses,
Yes.
and the need to be domain experts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Priyanka, when it comes to what you work on a weekly basis, monthly basis, do you have any favorite apps, any favorite tools that are like in your must-have list of your own tech stack that you would put up a really good fight if someone tried to take those tools away from you, either for compliance reasons or budgetary reasons, or something that you really feel are essential to you and your team doing your best work?
So when we are actually managing the migration modernization projects, so we have a number of tools that we need to have in our engagement. So these are some of IBM tools, which I wouldn't say tools, assets and accelerators. So like ICA, IBM consulting accelerators. Then we have delivery curator, which is called the IBM consulting cloud accelerators. So these are some of the tools which are AI Watson X AI tools based, which are uh, we definitely have to have every day. Nobody can take that away. But then we have all these third party tools which are cast, texture, device 42, which are also needed, and we need to be certified on that for our clients who are already using these tools. And then there are AWS tools and Azure tools, as well as Google tools like um, Google Data Center tool, which is the Google AI powered predictive analytics tool. So this is very important for us, because with that we know what is the applications and the workloads running on the data center. What is the performance of those two, for those all those workloads. Then we have this turbonomics tool, FinOps tools, turbonomic and Instana, which are actually gives you the observability and the performance of the application, so which is a must tool for us. Then there are FinOps tools, which is say Aptio. This tool gives me, when I see the all the workloads running, which workload is taking more VMs in infrastructure, where there is a need of infrastructure, where there is infrastructure just lying there, all those management of those infrastructure where the workloads are running. So that is another tool that we definitely need to work with. So these are some of the tools, Joshua, that we work with every day.
Oh, Priyanka, this has been really fascinating to learn more about your career path, your advice for people at different stages of their career, your outlook on how to pick the right training and certification programs, identifying some of the big business challenges that companies face with cloud migration and modernization projects that often fly under the radar, how you envision your role and your team's role changing in the coming years, as well as some of the most indispensable tools for being involved as a GTM lead for cloud migration and modernization. With all that in mind, do you have any ideas on who would be another great person to interview next for this podcast? Either someone that does podcasting or YouTubing, or just someone that likes to talk about the state of the industry and best practices?
So you can go for, I would say that you should go for people who are there in the, in the data center, like the clients, I would say the customers and the clients who are managing these data centers. So they have their legacy data center, they are managing their data center, the challenges that they are facing in their data center and what they are looking for in the future from their partners, right? So they are your potential, could be your potential next, so you will get the real time, real scenario from them. So that could be one of your next interviewer list. And the other one is are the innovation leaders, who are such as the CTO, the infrastructure operation head, R&D head, who are working towards making data center and cloud, taking them to the next level. So I would suggest that, these two are the immediate, you can go for that. And the other one is the industry analyst. What are the different industry are envisaging, what are they looking for, where they want to go, what they are expecting from the partners and the innovations in their next level, is the industry analyst.
So the operations leaders, the operations managers at the operators of the enterprise data centers on the technology side, the innovation, like chief innovation officers at different kinds of technology companies, and the analysts that follow the space at a high
Yes,
level. Awesome. That's super helpful. Priyanka, I really appreciate you taking the time today to get us up to speed on all of these issues. If someone wants to learn more about what you're working on, follow your the kind of projects that you're doing, or get in touch, is LinkedIn a good place to reach you?
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure to include that in the show notes for this podcast episode. If someone wants to learn more about the kinds of projects that IBM gets involved with on modernization and migration, is there a particular resource you would send them to? Is there a part of IBM's website or a part of LinkedIn or
So
social media or something that would be a great place for learning about that?
So it's IBM website, ibm.com, and then we have in LinkedIn IBM Consulting LinkedIn profile. So they can go and follow IBM Consulting, as well as they can follow us. We are constantly providing details, and then of course ibm.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've been speaking with Dr. Priyanka Ray, who is the Global GTM Cloud Migration and Modernization Lead with IBM in Singapore. Thanks again so much, Priyanka. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joshua. It was a wonderful experience.
Thank you. It was wonderful for me as well.
Thank you.
The Data Center Go-to-Market podcast is sponsored by DCSMI, elevating the role of sales, marketing, and go-to-market GTM professionals in the growth of the data center industry. To stay informed about upcoming episodes, make sure that you subscribe to the Data Center Sales and Marketing newsletter on the DCSMI website that can be found at www.dcsmi.com. Again, that URL is www.dcsmi.com.